Go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Relay Station. It looks a little different this week because David abandoned us to go ride Mies.
Where's
Now,
everyone?
now,
Where's everyone?
good. They can hear you and they can hear me. That's perfect. Wow, it's very quiet in the chat room so far. Hello, everyone. Is everyone here?
It's very quiet on the podcast so far.
Hello. It is very quiet in the podcast so far. Welcome to Relay Station. That looks a lot like a space broadcast because it had a two-person overlay. So, yeah. Yeah, Jake's...
Is that why I saw the cleaning lady with a vacuum?
Yeah. Anyway, Jake is working this weekend, and David has decided to disappear off the face of the earth. So, planned disappearance, I should say. So you just have me and
Somebody
Shiver.
planned it.
I hope you guys enjoy our show. It's a little bit, we're going to do our best. There wasn't a lot to talk about this week because, well, there was no Inside Star Citizen, and the Star Citizen Live this week was about audio effects, which, I mean, yeah.
I'd be up for describing the effects using our own natural abilities to do so. I have no self-respect.
I'm not sure our audience is, but if you're interested, audience, go for it. Let us know if you want us to try and emulate these sound effects that were done on Star Citizen Live this week, especially that yogurt sound effect. That was quite juicy. In the meantime, I'm gonna play some stuff. We had some interesting community. We had a couple interesting things this week. There was a really good article with a whole bunch of awesome pictures and animations from Star Citizen about environmental art, and also there were some community videos and screenshots and stuff this week that were great. We're going to start off with this video, assuming it has audio. Cross fingers.
Bots dead for the questions.
Yes, because David's not here.
I can do some of that. That planet got cold quickly.
So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. I thought it was really well done, and yay, community content, right?
I want to know, how are these people doing these mad, crazy things already when there's, not even proper tools that support this yet, really?
That's a very good question, and I just don't really know the answer to that.
To such quality.
I'm always astonished with the work they do, especially because they even have a better director mode that they showed off 6 months ago that they haven't put in yet, and people are still doing stuff like that. It's crazy. All right, so So, people still wondering why it's just me and you. David's on vacation and Jake's at work, and you know, there wasn't a lot to talk about this week, so I was kind of just fine being me and Shiver, and not only that, but my attempts to reach out were less than fruitful. But that kind of happens a lot in the summer because people are on vacation. They're doing things. They don't have 2 hours to come and screw around with us on a Saturday morning or afternoon for some people.
Or evening.
Sorry. My bad. So that the link I just put in chat is the link to the article this week. It's pretty spectacular, and a lot of that stuff is what I'm going to be showing off. It's pretty great. So this one... Go ahead.
Can I ask you, right, the first fundamental question is, what is the real difference to me as a player between these textures and the textures in pretty much any other game?
You're asking me?
You look like you're going to kill me. Yeah, how would you summarize it?
Well, one of the things I've actually noticed, I'm not sure if other people have noticed this, but... And because I don't know of a high level difference, honestly. But let's see if I can find the image.
We can go over the obvious of, you know, these not only look more three-dimensional, so to speak, these actually are.
That's actually that's what I was gonna say. Is a lot of the surface textures on the planet actually have a lot of depth to them, which is definitely not something that's common in games. Most of the time, if you get close enough to a texture in any game, you find out that it is well and truly flat.
Yeah, I mean, even just like a standing rock that goes from, you know, thick to thin, it's in the shape of a rectangle as far as the engine is concerned, whereas this is the actual shape of the actual texture.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to go through all the stuff from the article. It was pretty great. This is showing the layering of the terrain from a high level perspective. So these are the different terrain layers, and then the right is the result of that. This one,
May I ask?
Go ahead.
Were those done and rendered by the Predator?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. 30 years ago. No? Okay. I really like this one. This is showing water flow down a mountain range. So, like, you could have this happen from, say, runoff or rainfall. And it's showing how the engine determines how the water flows down the different gullies and canyons. It's pretty neat.
I wonder how reactive that would be.
I have no idea.
Would it be affected if I lobbed an object in there?
Probably. Hopefully.
A couple of dead bodies.
You can block one of the streams.
Yeah.
This isn't a beaver dam, it's a shiver dam.
The dam for the damned.
Yeah. This was showing wind erosion on the surface of a planet, which is really cool. Obviously, you see that mostly with sand. And this is they had some beauty shots in there. This is one of the moons, Ita, I believe, from orbit. And
I believe you're totally correct, Bryce Arena. One of the other things that it's obvious, but it's not obvious until someone points out to you is the textures aren't repeating every so often. At least if they are, they're not humanly noticeable.
Yeah, on this orbital one. Yeah, that was what I was going to point out. Is it actually look like you?
Oh, sorry.
You have all the. Sorry, what was that?
I was apologizing for nicking your line.
No. That's totally fine. It's just I love when you actually look closely at this picture. It's just looks like real terrain. And there's a lot of variation. And you think about what that's actually going to look like when you're on the surface in all those areas. It's not not going to look the same at all, which is just awesome.
And from the technical standpoint as well, because of the way they've constructed the foundations for doing this, the way that this is made, they don't have to create individual LODs, say, for this when you're on approach to it. It's naturally built in, so to speak. It uses a different system than having to actually have someone manually say, at this distance render this, at this distance render that, and then draw that. It's done on the fly, so to speak. It's a great time-saving thing, because, eventually they've got to have 100 systems. That's a lot of planets. They can't have, billions of LODs for each planet.
Exactly.
So it's going to save time and things in the long run.
This is a shot from the surface of Yela, actually. And the beloved Ursa rover. This was actually a community picture that was posted this week, and I just wanted to show it off because beautiful damage effects on the 600i. You can see how the hull is like eaten away and revealing the superstructure underneath.
Although it reminds me of Wing Commander. I mean, Wing Commander, if you got X amount of damage, it would just have a pre-rendered shot just to show you got a little bit or a moderate amount or a heavy amount of damage. This is, he got hit there on the ship.
Yeah. Gotta love it. And with the specific type of weapon, because different types of weapon cause different types of damage.
True.
I'm pretty sure that's energy damage, because it caused that like eating away effect on the hull. This is obviously a view that many people are familiar with, but it does a very good job again of showing the differences in terrain. If you look across the surface of the planet, this is Daymar, Moon. But yeah, pretty great.
Lovely shot, isn't it? And
am I wrong on that? That is Daymar, right? I'm not mistaking it for Hurston.
I assume so. You're the expert.
I'm not the expert. I'm sure there are more people who are more expert than me. Love this. This was showing like terrain erosion over time. Pretty neat.
So is that purely for their editing purposes, so you can so they can create a more natural planet, or is this going to be I hate to use the word feature, but a feature that's going to be shown in the game?
I mean, the way that they were talking was that they were able to actually make the planets change iteratively over time. Now, whether it will happen or not, because you got to remember, a lot of these changes take place over enormous time spans in real life. So I don't really know whether they'll actually be able to show it happening in real time. But it does give you an idea of, like, they could say, this is the terrain for a planet, and this is how much rainfall it has in it every year, and then the game could figure out what the erosion has been, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Over X amount of time. Pretty great, though.
I mean, like Bryce Arenas just touched on, that kind of erosion takes a very long time, and it's like...
Yeah,
it would. Would they bother? Would they?
Would they? Maybe not live in the game, like, dynamically, but as a way of showing the age of a mountain range or a planet, or a moon, or the age of a crater or something, I think it's definitely possible. Yeah, I just thought it was cool.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. This is really neat. This is showing, like, the water flow off of the mountains, and how the erosion works, how it's flowing down the mountains into the rivers.
It's nice, isn't it?
Uh-huh. This is all stuff that they're working on right now at Frankfurt. Pretty neat.
That's some of the loveliest water I've seen yet.
Yes, Nighthawk. Shiver did sacrifice the rest of the crew.
To the marriage god of happy wife.
So this was a sneak peek this week. This was the file name for this one was Hackable UI. So this is like a hackable terminal, and showing some of the graphics for that. Glad they're working their way through. I really don't want someone to hack my movie glass.
Do you think something completely unique or something like Deus Ex-like, or just press F and hold your breath?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Sorry.
Would you hazard a guess? Would you theory craft?
About what the heck?
Anything that you say is legally binding.
Yeah, I know it is.
Confirm for us how the hacking mechanic in game.
I think it's probably. I mean, most of the mechanics they want to make are fairly complex, so I don't think it's just going to be press F to hack, if you know what I mean. Especially because there's no skill system in the game. You have to just be able to do it. Like there's no skill points or experience or anything. So, yeah. My guess is that there will be some sort of complicated or semi-complicated minigame for hacking. Now, what it will look like, I have no idea. There's been so many attempts at that over the years. I don't know which direction they're going to go. You have any thoughts?
Like you say, there have been so many attempts at hacking mini games or even entire games based around hacking that a lot a hit, a lot of miss. I don't think anyone's ever really sort of said, I think this game gets hacking exactly right. It feels fun and it's rewarding to do. Even Deus Ex kind of got, I think, to the point where you could just be like,
yeah.
And I don't think CIG want players to ever be able to just go an actual, like you say, a mini game, something that's challenging. Plus, you're probably going to have electronic countermeasures.
Yep.
So PvP mini game hacking thing.
And like you're obviously going to be time limited too, with probably alarms that go off as soon as you fail, which will put a lot of pressure on you, which will be real fun. But and that's another one where you can really reward skill, because remember, you can actually remotely hack ships if you are good enough and close enough. But the skill required to pull off a hack quickly while you're like hovering around a ship is going to be intense.
Yep.
So this is, of course, yet another screenshot by our beloved Mr. Hasgaha. Just gorgeous. Constellation over Hurston. Who is Zach Beck? I don't know. Do you know who Zach Beck is?
Nope.
Zach Beck? Zach Beck?
Zach Park? I don't know.
And here we have a beautiful pixel art herald flying over Area 18 by Neodrift. He posted this on Reddit. GTA has hacking too. Yeah, I know. I don't think anyone's done it very well yet. I'm hoping that Watch Dogs Legion will do a better job. That game looks pretty great.
Just saying that because you want to be an old woman terrorizing London, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, yes.
Okay.
I really
That's
do.
a very Star Wars picture. Sorry.
It is a very Star Wars picture. I definitely want to be a 90-year-old woman beating guys to death with my cane in dystopian London.
I don't blame you.
Have I played Pony Island? No, sorry. So this was the title image for that article, the Substance article. And it's just beautiful. Obviously, it's Hurston. And I just had to show it off because it's just... As David says every week, it's pretty.
True.
This is yet another... I think this is Magda. This is beautiful orbital shot. Again, showing off the variations in terrain. One of the things I really like here is you can actually see the wall of the one crater in the middle of the screen there. It's been broken down by like erosion and other impacts. Pretty neat.
It'll be interesting when you can get this sort of view over more populated areas and whether or not they're gonna. Well, you will be able to see the traffic, I suppose, won't you?
You will be able to. Yeah,
that'll be fun.
Especially once you're in, like, once the MMO thing really is going full steam. Just sitting over a city and watching the traffic, going to and from, will be pretty amazing. This is a shot from the surface of Magda, I think. My brain's not working at the moment. I just named this file right before the show. That's the surface of I was bad. That last picture and this picture were both of Ita, not Magda. My bad. And this is a shot from the surface. Love the sky in the game. It's one of my favorite things. I actually spent quite a bit of time just like staring up at the sky when they first got the moons in, because you just stand in the surface and look around. They got like nebulas and you can see pyro in the sky all the time with a bright red splotch. It's very cool. Also, really looking forward to trying 3.6, but I'm not in PTU yet, so that sucks. Finally, I got it right. This one's Magda. And again,
that's a great job on the mountains, isn't it?
Really, yeah, it is. Yeah. Just beautiful job. And again, like, the lack of terrain repetition is pretty amazing. It's not easy to do. And the surface. Really like the atmospheric effects here, and honestly, in all of Star Citizen, the atmospheric effects are amazing. And they definitely use a lot of fog. People make fun of them for that, but they do a great job of it. So I understand why.
Well, I mean, you look at it and you look and you think that looks fucking cold.
Yep, sure does. Doesn't really look like a nice place.
It's pretty cool though, isn't it? I mean, that looks fucking cold. Imagine what Microtech is going to look like. That really is going to be like Hoth.
Exactly. So this is something I was really excited about. This is what they call their global painter. And this allows them to just paint the terrain zone. And I was blown away by this. Really cool. And this is what that same... So this is basically, painter in-game.
Looks lovely, doesn't it?
It sure does. Yeah. I honestly, I'm not an artist at all, but I would absolutely love to do this job. Building planets. Yeah, okay. They finally started putting in like a human reference there, because we always thought these plants were little. They're not little.
I mean, I gotta address this. That those leaves, the detail on that, gorgeous, isn't it? It's
Yep.
not like you would get in every, well, pretty much 99% of games where it's just this flat textured to look 3D and separated. Like that actually is layered deep. It's a leaf. It looks like a leaf. It's not going to look strange and awkward when you get close to it. It's not going to flatten out like a pancake.
Exactly.
And that's a great job. And the fact that the engine's going to be able to have multiple of those on screen to look realistic. Ooh,
Yeah, they've just
lovely.
done a beautiful job. Plants are always really hard in games. They've gotten a lot better over the years, but even still, there are some modern games you go in there and you look. If you actually take a close look at a plant, it's like, well, it's just a bunch of flat stalks stuck together with like with a texture stuck on it to try and make it look 3D. Yeah.
And then even a good tree, you think, well, they all look fucking the same.
Totally. But yeah, I was really impressed by this. And then also this is sort of what they look like in the engine here. And then a bunch of plants together. Remember, these are huge. Like, that one on the left is taller than a person. So, massive tropical plants. And this is, building the leaves. Really neat. Okay, roadmap time. You ready for roadmap time?
Is it good news this week?
I mean,
Oh,
not spectacular news or anything.
okay.
So they're at 97% complete for 3.6. They've almost finished it.
Okay.
The good news there is that distribution and ecosystem improvements is done. And so is the performance optimization, which was apparently all done in 1 week, but from 0 to 100%. And it sure is. By the way, neither of us actually think that's how they did it. But I just thought it was funny that they're just it was not.
I thought
not
they
even
just
started.
went in Notepad and put performance equals 5, not 2.
Exactly. Oh man. The shield system's tech replacement is improved, but there's still long way to go on that one. That's the last one though, so hopefully it can get done soon. They are on wave 2 of the PTU, which went out this week.
So some progress.
Yeah.
Not the best of progress, but some.
Another notes, they started working on the planetary ground fog tech for 3.7, and it's already up to 25% complete. The Harbinger and the Sentinel had some work done on them. FPS combat weapon types made some progress. Other than that, though, there's not a whole lot. There's still doing some work on Orison. It gained 1% this week. Not a whole lot there, though. It is. I kind of laughed at 3.6.x went down because they added tasks to both ship rentals and the 890. Whoops. Now Squadron. Some good news here. For Chapter 15, they just completed Phase 2. The problem here, though, is that a lot of things that were scheduled to be done in Q2 are still not done. Because you notice, it should actually be, the green rectangle thing over the chapters should actually be over the Q3 one, not over the Q2 one, because it is now Q3. Yeah, as I've said...
There should be a roadmap for that.
As I've said week after week, I do any month now, probably at CitizenCon, I'm expecting a delay for Squadron because they're really starting to pile up stuff that they can't get all this stuff done in the time they have available. Lots of incremental progress though on things this week. You'll see Q3 there has a whole bunch of things that have either added tasks or completed a bunch of tasks, which is nice to see. Stealth V3, which is actually a Q4 thing, went up 40% this week. That's always nice to see. But yeah, I would say expect at least another 2 full quarters to be added to this schedule. At least.
In fairness, Stealth V3 going up 40% isn't a huge deal because all they have to do is like first stage, make ship not render. Right, so it's not going to do anything or put anything there. Easy.
This is FPS stealth, Shiver. You're making ships invisible in FPS stealth?
You might.
But yeah, when you look at how much they actually accomplished in Q1 and Q2, and then you look at how much stuff there is for Q3 and Q4, you're just like, yeah, okay. No. It's not going to happen. But, you know, they're trying their best. It's just there's a lot of work to get Squadron ready. Most of us are now thinking, well, even when they first announced this schedule, I was like, okay, add at least another 2 quarters to that. Now I'm thinking probably until the beta one, maybe 3 or 4, from what it is now. So probably 2021 sometime. But I mean, the end goal is there, so you just have to work towards it. Now, this was kind of an interesting one that I did not really understand at the time. Still don't really understand very well, but I thought it was kind of cool. The way they described this is that they were able to, across all the terrain on a planet, control the like maximum steepness, which I think is an aid of allowing players to actually climb things. Now, how it actually works, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm looking at that diagram, and it
I'm like, I don't know.
You can see the logic in there.
Yeah.
You're also sat there going, but what?
That was exactly my response to this. I still included it because I thought it was kind of an interesting thing to look at, but I was confused. So this actually was the image I was looking for before. This is what I mean about the ground textures. They don't look 2D because they aren't really. And that is amazing because I got to tell you, it's been a real long time we've had 2D ground textures. Even ones that look 3D, if you actually look up close at them, they're not.
I mean, as Bryce Serena correctly pointed out, not the closest because the X11 onwards can actually do it as well, but that's a different kettle of fish. Let's ignore that for now. Parallax mapping is more commonly used because it's not as intensive and it just gives the illusion of looking like a solid object, but it's still got the same hitbox.
Absolutely. These I really loved. So this is showing like the different surface materials that they combine together to make up a surface. So, you know, they vary the amounts around so you get different terrain types, but just beautiful, beautiful work. And yeah, Danger Cookie right there. Really like this one. This one's really cool. So you got like the moss in there, and you got dirt, and then you got like twigs and garbage, it looks like. Pretty sure this is Hurston. Another great one. You'll see them use this a lot for like asteroid moons and stuff. Kind of a Delamar feel.
Rocks are again. They're one of those things that if they do them really well, like this, you go, yeah, that looks pretty fucking good. That looks pretty good. But if they just do some average rocks, you just go, no, I recognize those. Those are a set of rocks because I've seen that texture repeating in that pattern a billion times before. Look at Skyrim with its mountains. It's like, I know the mountains start over there because that's the start of the mountain texture.
It's so true. One of the things I think is cool is it like a lot of their rocks already look pretty good, but I believe. Let me go back to the roadmap here just a second. Where is it? There was a shader they put in to improve the rocks again. And I'm trying to remember where it was. Was it in 3.5? Or is it in the future? Do you know? Do you remember?
No, if you don't know the numbers, I'm not going to know the numbers.
Damn it.
I refer to you for that.
Well, they're still working on rocks. One of the things that's actually going to be a big improvement is the procedural asteroids V2 for the asteroids as well. But yeah, I can't remember. It was. I'll have to go look at the actual roadmap. Just a moment, folks.
Talk amongst yourselves.
No, don't talk amongst yourselves. Talk at us.
Oh.
Give us questions. We like questions. Questions are good. Yeah, there it is. Nope. Oh, that's not the right one. Hard surface shader improvements was not that. That was for like items and stuff. Maybe they removed it from the roadmap. It used to be on here somewhere. There used to be one that was like improving the shader for rocks and other similar objects on the surface of planets, but I don't see it anymore. I'm sure they're still doing it. It's probably just somewhere else in the roadmap or included with procedural asteroids, very possibly, because that is all about improving rock textures as well. So all of these things that look great now are going to get better. That's what I really meant.
I mean, the thing is as well, it's not just they're going to look much better, but we're going to be able to run this game.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Hopefully the same FPS you get now. Hopefully.
That's always they're always trying to get those crazy big wins where they get it improves performance and it looks better. Gotta love those, hey? Or it improves or it looks way better but doesn't affect performance at all. Like that insane cloth simulation that Sean Tracy showed.
Yeah, you'll never convince me that they programmed that. Sean Tracy sold his soul to the devil for that.
Right?
Sorry, like that level of simulation at no drop in FPS or heavy use of resources. No, that man sold his soul.
Yep. Straight up. That's why he lost that patch of hair on his head?
I feel for him. I didn't get that much for mine.
I hope Sean Tracy's not in chat because that would be bad.
He's too busy collecting souls.
Yeah, fair enough. Love this shot. This is a sort of a preview terrain shot from orbit, but I love that you can see the river valleys and everything, like the rivers where they flow in the valleys. Just a beautiful shot. And this is one that's actually one we started off on. This is yet another, preview shot of terrain from orbit. Yeah, I really like the sharp mountains here. You can show there hasn't been but there has been some, but not a lot of weathering, and probably not water weathering either. That's mostly wind. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so sharp. It's actually kind of how Mars looks. There's a lot of really sharp rocks on Mars because all the weathering is wind. Yeah, so that's most of our show and tell stuff this week. So we managed to actually get through most of the show and tell portion of our normal show, so I think that was a win. Should we
Neither of us are going to sing this week, right?
No. I'm really hoping that when I go look at the questions, there's actually questions.
There are questions.
Good. Well, while I'm going to look for the questions, would you like to try and imitate the sound of yogurt? Yeah, that's pretty close. It's quite an interesting week. Also, we have one whole more week of no frickin' Inside the Star Citizen.
Yep. I can see why they do it, and
I totally can see why they do it. It's just
I'm digging the Inside Star Citizen. So if this is what we've got to do to get these good Inside Star Citizens, all right, fuck it.
Yep.
Speaking as a subscriber, yeah, all right. You can rob me each month still.
So what was I gonna? Oh, there's something. Oh, right. I also wanted to bring up some very important point this week. More CitizenCon tickets are going up for sale. Wave 2. And I'm trying to find the dates here. Just a moment. More CitizenCon tickets. There it is. It was in the newsletter this week. And right, so on Wednesday, July 17th at 1800 UTC, 175 tickets will be available to all backers. Then again, 4 hours later at 2200 UTC, another 175 tickets for all backers. So
those are very small numbers. I mean, I know the venue isn't a huge place, but certainly for the UK, it's a huge venue, and those are comparatively small numbers. I'm wondering why they're doing them in such trickles.
But David really, really, really wanted them to make the event smaller, so maybe they did. Maybe they're listening to David now. That would be
God
scary.
help us all.
So yeah, here's the post on Spectrum. I'll link it. And the insanely long link. And yeah, so if you don't have a ticket and you need a ticket, go and check that out. It'll give you the times, and best of luck. I will also be trying to get my ticket that day. So that Shiver
Let us know if you're going, because hopefully Nakara's going.
better be freaking going. I'm planning to go. There, let's sit on that image because it's pretty.
Just
Right.
me on my own.
So, Ashley's like the best person. Always asks us lots of questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Ashley asks, do you think PlanetSide 2 scale conflict would ever happen in the verse organically? Shiver.
Oh, I fucking hope so. It's the potential is there, certainly. It's from the technical feasibility of how many players they can get on a server. And that's all going to come starting with the server meshing.
Yep.
Hopefully bigger.
The real truth is, yes, it will absolutely happen if server meshing works properly. If it doesn't, it won't. That's basically where we're at. We have one piece of tech that everything rides on.
I mean, you want it, I want it, they most certainly want it, so they're going to try it.
Yeah. But it should be noted for, to give CIG credit, almost everything that they've said, we really want to do this, they've just been able to do it. Thankfully, all of the amazing backers, including us, but most importantly, the rest of the community, have given them a license to make this ridiculously insane, gigantic universe.
And I mean,
never would have happened otherwise.
I hope that everyone else is thinking, we want destructible buildings, and things like that. I want to recreate the opening sequence to Firefly, where there's all this shit going on, and I'm just ducking in cover in these old ruined buildings and things like that. I want that sort of thing to happen. I want the buildings to explode. I want the cover in front of me, as so always happens, to just blow up as I take behind it. A real, proper, dynamic war zone, rather than just, as a concrete block gets hit, it's a wooden fence gets hit, stays there.
Yeah, no, I hate that. No, if the wooden fence in front of me gets hit by a bullet, it's not intact anymore.
Don't get me wrong. I'm
There are
not
definitely,
I'm not stupid. I know exactly why they have to do it. Like
there are
but
definitely games that have that tech in there. That everything's destructible and the cover's destructible and bullets can penetrate and hit you. But there's a lot of games where they don't too. Where you get like frickin' PUBG where the chain link fences are fucking bullet proof. Like, really? There's holes in chain link.
That's one of the things that you always try in a competitive FPS game is, right, now is this ladder one whole thing with invisible gaps, or is this actually a ladder that I can shoot through? Let's find out.
Yep. You always do it. Even Windows sometimes. Even Windows, which just drives me crazy. You try and shoot out a window, and it's like, no, it's a wall. What the fuck?
Look, they're getting much rarer these days, luckily.
Yeah, thankfully. But I still run into them from time to time. Especially small windows. They're like, fuck it.
If I can see through it, I want to shoot through it.
That's right, yeah. If I can fit the barrel of my gun through there, I want to shoot somebody through there. But back to the topic at hand, and as Juuuuuuuuust said here in chat, like, he's dead on. Networking is fucking hard. It really is. It's going to be the hardest part of Star Citizen. It's taking them years and years to do it, and it's going to take them years and years to get it right. It's hard. That's why you look at... I talk about this constantly, but I have always been blown away by Rocket League, because what they achieved on a networking level is insane. Like, it's an incredibly fast-paced game with, like, flying cars, people from all over the world playing together, and it works. I mean, yeah, occasionally it's not 100% awesome, but the fact that it even works at all is amazing.
I mean, on the opposite end...
And cross-platform, across, like, 4 or 5 different platforms. Sorry, go ahead.
On the opposite end, if Star Citizen comes out, Star Citizen, the MMO, comes out, and it's got shitty networking code, it will never recover. Battlefield 4, look at that on release. The networking code, total palaver. They fixed it. They got it working. It was serviceable. It was a BF game. It was a modern BF game in the end. Always had the reputation of being a bit shit because when it was on release, it had that really bad networking code.
Yeah, it did. It had horrible networking code when it was released. It was that was really sad. And it was months and months where the game was unplayable. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You can't release a game like that. Honestly, that is the biggest argument against publishers. You know, a developer should be able to tell a publisher the game is not ready yet, and the publisher should go, okay, not release it tomorrow, you know? But the problem is the publishers get their whole publishers get their marketing budgets going, and they get a release date set. They're like, well, we have to hit the release date. No. Gamers will always be happier in the end if you delay a game to make it better. You know? Sorry, I'm going to try and catch up on chat here because it looks like there's some interesting discussion going on there.
Should I go with the next question?
Yeah, sure.
Ashley again. What scale should models for Star Citizen ships be, considering we have such a vast range of ships? Sizes from the 1.9 meter Nox to the nearly 3 kilometer long Retribution, for instance. That sounds like a maths question to me.
I don't know what's being asked in that question. What scale should models for Star Citizen?
Well, they've started selling 3D prints and models of Star Citizen ships. Yeah. There's an official license holder now, so you can go and buy a Hornet, I think, that's been 3D printed.
Yep.
I can't remember the scale that is to. But Ashley's basically asking, what scale should models for Star Citizen be? I
think the best answer to that is different scales. Because you want the small ships to be big enough that you can actually appreciate the detail on them. But you don't want the big ships to be the length of your house. So, because like the Retribution is 3 kilometers long. So you could do like, man, even then, that's 3,000 meters. So a 1 to 100 scale is still 30 meters long. So.
I think the more important question is, how large should the chocolate versions be? And should they be hollow or not?
As big as possible and not hollow.
I like how you think.
You need the largest volume of chocolate you can get.
Chocolate retaliator caramel modular base.
Wow, Minivira? Sorry about that. I thought it was Minerva, but it's not. It's Minivira. Cool name. They should be 1-to-1 in solid for chocolate. Yeah. 3-kilometer long chocolate retribution. There you go. I almost said retaliator. 3-kilometer long retaliator would be something else.
Diabetic citizen.
Yeah. Next question. How many SRVs does it take to transport a Bengal?
What's the scale of the Bengal?
This is a math question. It takes as many as it takes. Moving along. Bryce Arena asks, with that hacking terminal earlier in the show, what minigame do you suspect CIG will develop for that kind of hacking? We talked about that a bit. Any ideas you could come up in the last 20 minutes here, Shiver?
You go first. I'll think of something.
Okay, I'll try to go first.
Yes, difficult one. Quick, do someone's job now. Concept me an entire mini game.
Well, okay, you look at what CIG normally does. CIG normally wants things to be as realistic as they can make them without them being boring. So maybe it will be literally like, I don't know, some minigame writing or filling in pieces of computer code. I'm not sure.
It's funny you say that. I know for a fact there are at least some people out there who are like, that is what I want the hacking to be. I want to sit there and have my coding knowledge actually be useful in this game. And that could lead on to these people can then create scripts which can be sold on the market for hacking and things like that.
That would be really cool. See, that's a great idea. And that's something I could see them doing. But whether they will or not,
but then you also want it to be accessible. And if you've got to... Yep. If you just put an average person, an average layman like me, who does not code, anything in front of them that looks even vaguely codey in any sort of way with these pluses and these minuses is going to be intimidated on first sight. I've got to learn how to speak maths. I don't even know what 5 times 5 is.
It's obvious.
25.
Oh, okay, sure. I was going to go with the joke answer, but all right.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, honestly, it's really hard for me to imagine because I haven't really seen a good hacking minigame. And I think this is why, is they sit down to try and make it and they're like, I don't know. How do you make something that resembles hacking but is also accessible, you know? It's really hard. Ashley asks, should ground-based turrets have bigger guns?
Asking all the fucking easy ones today, aren't you, Ashley? Jesus.
Yes, they should. They should because it's easier to generate a larger amount of power on a planet, and also you can build a much stronger base for a turret on a planet than you can on a ship. So I think it can definitely house larger weapons.
Why can't there just be different sized turrets so we could have humongous turrets?
I think there should be, but I think that I think the average size of turrets on planets, it would make sense if they were larger. Just because it's easier to build.
It would vary from planet to planet. Something like Terra and Earth, you would expect to have fucking biggest fuck-off guns. You know,
guns the size of a retribution.
Right. Whereas, I don't know, some backwater planet, Dave, the planet of Dave, it's just got these little pea shooters.
Yep, I could totally see that. Yep, and they're like, no, you can't land here, and you're like, stop me, then.
Shoot.
Oh, look, you can get through my shields. Oh, darn. Next question, also from Ashley. If you want to see an example of how hacking mechanics is done well, check out Zachtronics, which it was posted in our chat. Next one, Nighthawk Sale. Right now, go ahead.
Just saying hi to Nighthawk.
Hey, Nighthawk. Right now, we can see other planets and moons from any given surface and know they are actually there, but the same can't be said for the current starscape. It in no way reflects the actual location of stars. Do you think as CIG adds new star systems, and the question continues just a moment, that the starscape will evolve to reflect the actual locations? Yes, I do, since you can see Pyro from Stanton. I do think that you'll be able to see the other systems from any other given system. But, I mean, some of them will be far enough away they'll just look like a star, right? Pyro's noticeable because it has that giant red nebula.
Hasn't the Endeavour got a telescope?
Sure does. Yep. So you'll be able to see. That would be crazy to sit in Stanton and be like, I wonder where the Vanduul are going.
When you think about it, it's kind of mad that you can actually. Well, no, all right, because it's not even in game. It's not even been said it's going to be there. We're just theory crafting. But it would be mad. It would be so cool that if you could just be in your star system, look in a telescope, and see an actual in-game planet as it is across whatever, and know that that's actually it. It's not a the usual trickery of just of faking it or anything. You're actually looking at it, and it's a stupid little thing that makes no difference even if they had cheated it, but you'd know, and it's cool.
The only problem with it is, I mean, I don't know how they're going to handle it, but if you were sitting in Stanton and looking at, say, example, the ships moving in orbit of Earth, you'd be looking at them, probably hundreds, if not thousands of years in the past. So, yeah.
The telescope compensates for lag.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gotta love it. Next. Has CIG ever mentioned using procedural tech to avoid repetition with plants? This is from Starship Training Wheels. Yes, they have, actually. The software they use, called SpeedTree, and also some of the procedural tech that they brought over from Crytek, allows them to have... Basically, they can define bounds for a plant. That plant can be a minimum of this height and a maximum of this height. And also, it can be rotated and changed in slight ways and planted in different spots. And you can create a lot of different looking plants without actually making a lot of different plants. And yeah, that's something they brought over from Crytek, and they were able to create pretty good looking jungles with not very many different plants. There's always going to be some repetition if you really look for it, but as long as it's not obvious to people, it won't affect your gameplay experience, I don't think. Would you agree with that, Shiver?
Yes. I'm trying not to do any puns here because there are so many, and I'm not.
Why are you trying to avoid puns? That's what makes every show funny instead of just me.
So what you're saying is they can do variants that stem off the originals. Do they have a root folder for all of these plants?
Yes.
Is there an experimental branch called the test branch?
Yes.
That'll do for now.
Okay. Next one up is from Starship Training Wheels. Asks, Spaceship Training Wheels. Sorry, my bad. No, that was the same question. Haha, my bad. Nighthawk Zale now asks, does anyone know if there's an infograph or a spreadsheet that tracks everything that CIG has checked off on the development to-do list? And if so, how can I get my hands on a copy? There was... Oh, can I remember where? That's an interesting question. Let's see if I can find it.
Should I go on to the next one while you do your
Yes.
Google foo?
Yes.
Okay. Pork chop sandwiches. It's a great name. The rumor that they are going to show a jump point at CitizenCon. If they create Pyro, will you have a high ground on Pyro? Pyro 3 specifically, a lava planet. get that reference. Will you be taking on your former Jedi Master on Pyro 3? Do you think there's going to be a jump point being shown at CitizenCon this year?
It's the next logical step. You know, whether they
you think so soon?
They probably will be done. Stanton before the following CitizenCon. So maybe.
Okay.
I mean, it is also in the UK, so it might be very focused on Squadron too. I don't know.
You're not having to use jump points in Squadron, as far as I know, are you? It's set in the one system.
No, there's at least one jump point.
Okay, but they could. That doesn't necessarily mean they need to have it properly ready, because just because there is a jump point doesn't mean you'll be flying in it.
They need the graphics to be ready, like the visuals. Whether or not, you actually have to pilot your way through in the way that you will be in the full game is a big question mark. It would be nice. I think that's probably on there. This would be really cool if we could pull this off in time, but it's not a requirement. You could always go through the jump point during a cutscene. So, but the question about if they create Pyro, will you have the high ground on Pyro 3? Yes, I will. But will you?
I never have the higher ground.
That Miami Bat guy asks, do you think that worms really are on the planet Lyra 3, or is that for CitizenCon, and will they be on another planet? In my personal opinion, they went to the effort to make them. They will be there. And they will probably also be elsewhere because it takes a long time to make assets, so might as well use them again.
Agree. Gotta say though, if that's the size of the worms, imagine the size of the fish.
Fish can't swim in sand.
You don't know.
Are you enjoying the show today, guys? Oh boy.
They're hooked.
Do you think we got the Independence Day sale in place of a concept sale that should be happening about now, or is it in addition to the next concept sale? This question is from Kaylaran. I'm gonna see what you think on that one, Shiver, because I don't know.
I just mostly ignore it because it's like, I can't be bothered to give any more money yet. So I would hope that it was the Independence Day sale in place of a concept sale.
I would think so. They don't really seem to be making a lot of noise about another ship anytime soon, so
especially with Inside going off.
Although then again, the first time Inside comes back, they could be like, "Hey, here's our new ship." So a question mark. Yeah. So to sum up, we don't know. Spaceship Training Wheels asks, if network code has to go through a really long beta before it's in good shape, how does CIG control when the general public pays attention to the launch of Star Citizen? There's a really good trick here. You don't launch. Or one of two ways. You either just don't launch like Warframe did, or you launch like Elite Dangerous did, where you just have beta and 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 beta forever, and then eventually one day you're just like, yeah, no, it's done, but you don't actually like make fanfare out of it at all.
I think they'll make a big fanfare out of it.
Because it's Chris?
Yeah.
Glad we have the same thought.
Basically. I mean, it's going to be the marketing. The people who are likely to play this game who haven't got it already are going to be people who have played Chris Roberts games, who are just not interested and sat sat around waiting. They want to, when they pay for a game, be able to fucking just play it from beginning to end. No fuss, no muss.
Yep. I know. The original Grib asks, based on Shiver speculating, will telescopes be a thing in game? Yes, they already are. The Endeavor has a telescope module. So, yep. Sure will. Drunken Lost Willie asks, do you think some backers of Star Citizen suffer from sunk cost fallacy? Everyone suffers from sunk cost fallacy at some point in their life. But
I mean,
do Star Citizen backers suffer from sunk cost fallacy? No, I don't think so. I think most of us go through our period where we spend a lot of money and buy the things we want, and then we just sort of, wait after that.
I mean, just as with everything, there's certainly going to be a certain percentage that, of course, there's always going to be a certain percentage of whatever you can imagine within a certain given community, given as that. But the thing with sunk cost fallacy is I'm sure they can buy those blue pills online. That'll help.
Okay. So there's a very big problem coming up here. We have 23 minutes left in the show, and we are almost out of questions. So please, if you have any questions to ask us, including about Shiver's hair. You have some hair.
Can't we just sing Daddy Shark?
Then please do. The last question we have currently from the original Grib asks, do you think that ship spawning is currently immersion breaking in that ships just appear on a pad? Wouldn't it be better to have the ship spawn in an underground hangar and lifted to the pad on an elevator? Shiva.
Oh, fuck yes. Yes, a million times yes. Do you remember... fucking must have been ages ago because Mark Skelton was talking about it. They envisioned like a Japanese underground car park where all the ships were on a thing and it would just come up out of the ground and things like that. I want that.
Yep.
Not everywhere, but I want variations on that. I want, if I'm in a high-tech place, that's what I want. If I'm in this low-down, grungy place, I want, a couple of Jawas to come out and start pulling it.
See, what I would like to see, that would be spectacular. What I would like to see is, I know this might be controversial, but on stations like Olisar, once the game is ready and it's like close to completion, I don't think you should be allowed to spawn a ship there because they're just not there. There's nowhere for them to be. You couldn't possibly be recovering your ship from there because there's nowhere. You know what I mean? I think it should be a place.
Yeah.
I think it should be a place that you go to land and trade. And I think if you want, like, let's say you die somewhere and you wake up in a hospital that's on a space station. If it's a space station about the same size as Olisar, I think you should have to call one of your ships and it should have to fly to you from wherever it is. I'm probably alone in that, but I look at Olisar and I'm like, well, where are the ships? I don't know where the hell they're stored in that station.
It doesn't physically have a hangar.
No, it doesn't. And they've talked before about how Olisar is going to change down the road because it was, their first station they made, really.
Whilst we're on the subject of this, how explorable do you think they're going to make random star bases? Everything or just small bits? Because I would love, in theory, they could make the whole thing explorable.
Depends. If you have a big area that is dedicated to a hangar, like to just storing ships, I think they wouldn't let people wander around in there because they're probably going to do some super special magic for how they handle that. But any of the other areas, I think you should be allowed to explore them, and even areas that are closed off or barred, you should be able to go in, but you're just gonna get in trouble if you aren't careful. If you aren't stealthy. You need stealth check. You need the FPS stealth tech V3 to make your way around.
As Magpie says as well, the content needs to be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Mm.
But, you know, I want to be able to go to a station and have reasonable number of services there. And once the full game is done, there'll be so many different careers that there's going to be a lot of stuff you need. Like, you know, mining equipment. um, and raw materials for lots of things too. Like the Pioneer is going to need enormous amounts of raw materials. So,
I mean,
there's a lot of different
it's funny
things.
like you say, that's going to be a huge thing, and a lot of people are worried about, oh well, you know, so many people have got an Idris now, they've won the game, they've got the best ship that you can get, sort of thing. But yeah, they've got to run that fucking thing first. You know, if you want to view ships as end game, it's your game. That's how you're going to play it. I don't give a shit. You know, that's fine by me. But you've got to realize as well that ship's got to run. It's not just going to run on thin air and happy thoughts. He's got to actually use the ship, or to a degree where he can make a profit and run the damn thing.
The running costs on a ship that large are going to be enormous. So you have to actually be able to use it for something.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to play the game.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I've kind of always said, is I never really thought that a lot of people think it's a cop-out, but I never really thought of it as pay to win, because if what you want to do in the game is be a solo explorer, an Idris is not a winning condition for you. What the fuck are you going to use an Idris for? Your winning condition might be an Endeavor, but then you might, like, the ship itself may be entirely an aside. What if your goal in the game is I want to be the person to find a star system for the first time? Well, there's no way you can pay money to do that. You have to go and do it, you know. Or if your goal in the game is I want to use my Pioneer, I want to work my way up to owning a Pioneer, and then I'm gonna build a city, you know. Well, there you go.
I mean,
all sorts of different things.
I mean, if you're going to go for ships, and once you've got that ship, there's this whole other world of gameplay that then opens to you about what you can do with that ship, and then it's like, oh well, now I'm going to go do this.
I'm going to go blow up Shiver's town that he built.
Damn right you will.
With a retaliator from fucking orbit.
Yeah. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
I have a sneaking suspicion the retaliator is, even though it's not a widely used ship right now, those gigantic torpedoes, it's gonna be a terrifying ship to see if you are on the ground or in like a base on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm dead. All right. We got 3 more questions. Thank you very much for the questions. The original Grib asks, do you think that the critics and cynics about Star Citizen suffer from sunk cost fallacy? They have invested all this time maintaining that the game will fail. Yes. And they can't give it up now because they've come so far.
Everyone's got opinions on it, haven't they? You know, it's like, if you hate it, you're going to hate it. If you love it, you love it. But you're not going to change the other's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you're entitled to your opinion. You are perfectly entitled to hate it. You're perfectly entitled to love it. Just know that you're never going to change the other person's opinion. And it's not your job to.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm going to change our background image here for the last 15 minutes.
Enjoy yourself. Name of my sex tape.
Wee. Hey, there's a good one. We'll sit on that one for a while. Right. What surprising thing would you like to see? This is a great question. Spaceship Training Wheels. What surprising thing would you like to see at CitizenCon, since you will be there with me?
You.
No, I mean in the game. I'm not letting you get out of this.
I find that pretty surprising thing. Finding you in the game.
I'm not in the game. Yet.
I'm going to go with actually seeing a jump point in action. I would find that surprising.
I'm gonna say. Okay, I'm gonna go off the board a little bit. I don't really. What I like to see. Okay, what I would like to see. I would love if they would show off, because this would definitely give people a lot more faith. I would love if they would show off the preliminary work that they've done on other star systems, if it exists. Be like, hey, this is the state we're at for Pyro, and here's the state we're at for Lear, and here's the state we're at for Odin, which is in Squadron 42. You know, that is what I would like to know. How many other systems do you have in the pipeline? Because I know there are some. They've made bits and pieces of them. They've shown little pieces of them.
Well, the Squadron 42 system.
Yeah, there's at least... Yeah, exactly. Odin's had a ton of work done on it, and they had to come up with new text and everything because they have that crazy... what the heck is it called? Not the Maelstrom.
The Retribution?
No, the giant like cloud around the destroyed planet. The coil. They have the coil. That took them a long time to get right because there's a lot of graphics tech that went into being able to render that.
Do you think there's another place called the pill, the diaphragm, the injection?
No. Although I would love it if they took a nod from, I think it's Newfoundland in Canada, and just name one of the systems Condom. That'd be great.
You and Jiro both, yeah. They could call it Johnny.
So that's one thing. I would love to see the progress on the star systems, but one of the things I'm really looking forward to, because I think that they're lagging on this. There's a couple things they're lagging on. A couple things they're doing really well at. One of the things they're lagging on is gameplay systems. They really, really, really need to start getting some of the gameplay systems in. I would love to see salvage and like exploration and research and science and healing and all of these other bits and pieces that we need, even if they're in super rudimentary states. I would love to see them.
The Carrack.
Yep.
That would be a surprising thing to see, and that I would like.
And
got a full tour.
Use the full Carrack to show off the exploration mechanics. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I want an entire presentation, right? An entire hour-long presentation. What they did to make the Carrack, how it's built to what they expect it to do, how it's also got to live up to our expectations, and then also this is how we expect it to be used in game. This is the gameplay we want associated with it.
I gotta tell you right now, Shiver, if Tony is giving a talk there at any point, we're gonna go watch it.
All right.
Tony is the best.
We'll be the ones with the lighters in the air going, Tony.
I remember being at his talk at the last Citizen Con there, and it was just funny because everybody was like, after the hour was up, everyone's like, no, just keep talking. And what was it he was taught? Right, he said that he could do another hour at least on the multiplayer, multiplayer game systems in the ships, like the multi-person ships, and everyone was like, okay, go for it. They like dragged him. The SCIG staff like dragged him away. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Tony again. This Citizen Con. Ashley asks, what ship announcement do you expect at this year's Citizen Con? Shiver.
I'm going to say that those ones that turned up in those days leaks, the Ballista and Odd Job one. A safe bet. It's not a safe bet, but I'm going with it.
I'm going to go way off the board. I'm going to say a farming ship. Like way more dedicated to farming than the Endeavor is. Just like a giant farm in space. There's my answer.
Okay.
Ashley asks, what manufacturer do you expect to make the space station equivalent of the Pioneer. So a ship that builds space stations. Okay. MISC, definitely. 100%.
Oh, I was thinking RSI or Crusader. Not Crusader.
Crusader Industries I could see,
Is
but
it Crusader? I think I am thinking Crusader.
it could also be, especially because they have that lattice work of stations in orbit of Crusader that we're going to be seeing soon, that's Orison. But
is that who Mork was calling every week?
Oh dear, there's an old reference.
Yeah. If anyone gets that, I'm going to be impressed.
But my first answer was MISC because they make a lot of industrial ships, and also Musashi Industrial and Starflight Concern. They got the name for it. I don't know. Anybody else have any suggestions on manufacturers that would build that would make a ship that's built to make space stations?
No, Mork and Mindy wouldn't do that, Bryce Serena. They were a sitcom. They wouldn't build spaceships.
Next up, last question. We have 8 minutes left. The original Grib asks, don't you think that caves will go a long way towards opening up exploration? If so, shouldn't they get them into the game ASAP in order to begin filling out gameplay systems? Shiver.
Yes and no. Yes, it's going to go a long way towards exploration, especially with hopefully what you're going to be able to do in there. You know, make your own bat cave or something like that. Make your own drugs den. I don't know. As long as you can do something in there other than just, hit away at a few rocks, that'll be cool. But putting it in sooner rather than later, I can see why. Yeah, but no, because they haven't got fucking anything to put in there yet, sadly. Yeah. But I can see them putting it in, not in the too distant future, without much, if any, gameplay systems in there. Not just literally walk in, have a look, some nice rocks, and go.
I can see that.
But I can't. Yeah, sadly, I can't see them adding it in with gameplay features anytime soon.
I can really. I mean, this kind of blows my mind because it was a big concern when we started down this whole Star Citizen road, but they're gonna have a lot of exploration content as long as they do it properly, as long as the mechanics are correct. When you think of how big the surface of every planet is, and every moon and every asteroid, and the size of the star systems, and now you've added caves, where you actually have to get out of your damn ship and go down into the cave. It's intense. It's a lot. And I wouldn't say they need it. I think that caves are really cool, and they're exciting to bring them into the game. So they'll arrive when they arrive. I don't think they need it right now, though, to bring more exploration content. I mean, who's seen every square inch of any of the freaking moons?
So what you're saying is, when they release caves, you want them to be quite deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I would like it to tie into.
True grip.
I would also like it to tie into an expansion of the mining system into something that can be done using ground bases. They actually have the mining installations on the surface. I would actually like to see those work, first of all, which would be really cool. Have some sort of mini game built in there so that you can mine using those big mining things that pound into the ground. Secondly, I would like to see some sort of handheld mining still exist for maybe super reactive minerals or things you can't mine using a gigantic machine. I would love if you could build caves that are basically mines that you're mining for things.
When you say that, do you mean use an existing cave and
what I would say is
it up a bit?
What I would say is
your own from scratch.
Not make your own from scratch. I'm talking not what am I trying to think here? not like voxels, but I'm talking more like using the existing procedural modular cave system to basically use it as a way of mining, if you know what I mean. So you can like attach modular parts on as you go down. Like that's what's happening in the game. You're not actually doing it in the game. You know what I mean?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
It's a weird idea, but I think it's something they could do without a huge cost because they have all those procedural parts already. So I don't know. It would be curious to see if they would utilize it in that way, or I would be curious. I mean, we do actually have one more question. We have 4 minutes, so you want to hit it?
Yeah. Good old Ashley.
Ashley asks, do you think we will get more ships in the size range of the Freelancer and Cutlass? As in ships that you can effectively fly on your own, but also has opportunities to play with friends together? Absolutely. Yeah. I really think...
a lot more of those.
I think there's going to be a lot more ships in the medium size range. I think that they're kind of trying to fill out the extremities, if you know what I mean, right now. To be fair, there are a fair number of medium-sized ships that we just don't have in the game yet. That just aren't built. So, but I definitely think there will be lots of medium-sized ships because I think that market for ships is going to be huge. The ones where people don't really like playing with 4 or with like 40 other people to make their ship work. They want to play with their buddy. They're like, or 2 people. So you want like a 1 to 4 situation where you can still operate the ship by yourself if you need to. I think that size is going to be the perfect range for a lot of people. So I do see a lot more of those coming. And, you know, as they get the gameplay systems in and they start seeing how people are using them, like, you know, we only really have mining and cargo a little bit. As they get more of those ships in, or more of those gameplay systems in, they can see how people are utilizing the gameplay system and make a ship that's like focused on a specific aspect of that. Because I think salvage is going to be interesting that way, actually. Like, I think they probably are very curious to see what people do with salvage once they put it in and how much pirate activity there is. Yeah. How many people Shiver blows up?
I just want the salvage.
Anyway,
personal.
Sorry you had to just deal with the 2 of us this week. I hope you still had fun. We had fun. And this is basically the end of our show. Shiver, where can we find you during the week?
At the moment, you can listen to a rerun of Dead Air on Space twice a week, strangely.
I like it.
And we do Faux Friday Night Show, I think, is coming this Friday.
Perfect. Go watch it. It's great.
Yeah. Something.
And can people find you in our Discord?
Oh, yes. I suppose they could. In theory. We have a Discord?
Yes.
What's the address for this Discord, Nakara?
I don't remember, but there's a link below. Just scroll down and click on it. Actually, I think it's discord.gg/relaysc. But I was like trying to channel Jake there. Like, what did Jake say? No, I'm pretty sure it's discord.gg/relaysc. And yeah, come join us. It's a fun place. We like stuff, especially Star Citizen and space, because space is cool. See, there's some space right there. It's fake space, but it's great. Thanks, Mr. Asgaha, again for making beautiful things for us every week. You can find me on Twitter at Nakara and also on Discord. And that's it for our show this week. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week. I think we're going to have more people next week. It's looking like we'll probably have a full show. Hopefully Jake will be back, and looks like we might have a fourth as well. And then the week after that, ironically, the same week that frickin' Inside Star Citizen comes back, David will be back.
Suspicious.
Very suspicious. Anyway, thanks y'all. Thanks everybody. You all. I'm from Canada. I'm not supposed to say that. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll talk to you later. We're out.